I refer to this recent article that was issued late 2012, November, and the United States had a plan to bomb the moon, and this was a top secret group, and one important person in this group was Carl Sagan, who accidentally also mentioned this in future job applications. It was actually a top secret project A119. He actually broke security by actually mentioning that in some other job interviews. Now, if we research Carl Sagan, and also after actually seeing all the things we've seen on the far side, which don't look human, obviously, we might understand what was happening. This could have been the time, I'll just go back to when Carl Sagan died in 1996, here we go. Celebrated astronomer Carl Sagan was involved in a secret project. It was known as Study of Lunar Research Flights. This happened in the mid-50s, so this was the time that the Americans and Russians discovered this top secret alien base on the far side, which we've seen, tens of thousands of structures and buildings. And I'll just quickly now go to the other article now. This article was Tennessee Terracotta, Carl Sagan's alien moon base and vintage UFO sensationalism. Now, Frank Edwards did an interview. There's actually a YouTube video. I haven't been able to actually download it, so you can probably look for it. There it is there. YouTube video, slides overlaying a radio presentation by Frank Edwards, Flying Saucers, Serious Business. What we have here underneath is, around the 34-minute mark, a reference to Carl Sagan, who Edwards claimed was the advisor on extraterrestrial life to the military. Here's where we can now link this to the alien moon bases. You didn't see this on any other online biographies. Obviously it's top secret, not meant to be scared. Edwards notes Sagan's speculation that we have probably already been visited by beings from other worlds, and that first happened in 1947. There was quite a few crashes, including Roswell. But wait, he also says these aliens could have bases on the dark side of the moon. I think he knew they did. It seems there was a common belief in the early 1960s we might have already been beaten to the moon by the space aliens, and that we might have prepared to fight for our lunar territory. How fascinating to see such popular rumour, how it arises. Of course, now this is the important thing at the end. Of course, now that we've seen the other side of the moon, that speculation has to be thrown out. Only the woo types who believe wherever never can hold onto it now. So far, here's footage of the dark side of the moon. Obviously you can go on Google Moon, but I'll just highlight this. So far, no alien moon base. And this article was posted by Sadie Heidemann at 8:57 PM. And this was a comment about the alien moon base, a bombing of the moon. So now we can probably understand more why this secret military group was actually formed, their purpose. They were scared of this alien moon base. Were they hostile? We wanted to land on the moon. We didn't want any alien presence, obviously, so far on our doorstep. And obviously a plan was made to bomb the far side of the moon. Now, by actually going through all the videos that I've posted on how these alien structures look like, I'll just go back to the original article so you can read that as I talk. This is obviously there in insignia, atomic blast, nuclear energy, and a rocket. So they took this alien base very, very seriously. Now, the only way they've actually not mentioned the alien presence here, which they haven't yet, but obviously you can see these structures there. And I'm assuming they aren't our structures. I assume they are alien structures from all the things I've seen and documented. their excuse was this was actually a Cold War strategy to scare the Russians. I don't see how that can scare the Russians. So the other common theory is that the NSA, together with the Russians, actually had a pact with the aliens. I think with Eisenhower, it was 1954, so that can be easily Googled. And they landed at Edwards Air Force Base, 12 UFOs. And it's just a coincidence that on 8th of June 2012, 12 white orb UFOs were actually flying over Sydney. And that was the first time I saw UFOs, and I was very puzzled. And when I researched this, in 1943, 12 flew over France, and then we got 12 landing at Edwards Air Force Base, and that was the first time for this special treaty with the aliens. And the rumour is we have our forces run by the NSA. They're on the far side of the moon and now with the aliens, and they are the structures that I've now shown in all these videos. So it's funny how these things click together, and this was a special group, and it was known as Project A119. I'm not sure what the A119 stand for. I suppose if that's Googled further, there's probably an answer to that, but at this stage of this video I haven't got that. So yes, the important thing is once things are Googled, I'll try to now go to YouTube using this software, Frank Edwards, Flying Saucers Serious Business. I'll just highlight that. I'll put in the YouTube search and see if this exists, and I'll try to then freeze it at 34 minutes. So let's try this theory out. Here's the video. So I'll just skip the ad, and this is Frank Edwards, Flying Saucers Serious Business. And I'll quickly go now to 34 minutes and see what's going to happen. I just put on pause till I reach it. Here we've got that interview where they see bridges on the lunar surface. They talk about the bridge-like structure. "12 miles long bridge." That was O'Neill. Here's some pictures of that. These are the moon bases shown here. This bridge then vanished. Now he comes to talk about Carl Sagan, who was the expert on extraterrestrial life to the US military. And in this video on YouTube, obviously they say they have to be prepared to fight for the right to actually land on the moon. So if they had a preemptive strike planned using a nuclear warhead for man to land on the moon and get rid of the alien presence, now it seems more likely, especially for all the UFO activity happening around the world at that stage, starting from 1947. Here we go. He's talking about Patrick Powers. Here he is, Carl Sagan. (1962 December). Man must be prepared to accept the probability that we've already been visited by the beings from elsewhere in the universe, and obviously there are bases on the far side of the moon. So when we landed, obviously the threat was there, and that was maybe the purpose of this preemptive nuclear strike. And these beings have bases on the inverted side of the moon. Okay, so this is a very interesting video clip, and the important thing is that in this article they said, well, there is no such a basis, and that can be easily seen in my analysis of all these structures. So there we go.